If you're a job seeker or an employed attorney or even a firm owner, and in a post-COVID world, you're looking at better opportunities or how you can more closely align with what you love doing, then it helps to look to a simple question. What would you do for free if given the choice? This can help you seek specific jobs, identify specific areas of law, or even identify parts or elements of specific areas of law that you might be willing to do. And from there, you can build a practice, a brand, or even better employment opportunities. Now, there are some risks in doing so, and there's some anxiety that comes up. So, this isn't for the faint of heart, but if you follow the steps I'm going to talk about today, you could identify better opportunities for yourself. I'm Griffin Bridgers, and this is 10 Minutes with Griffin. For today's episode 175, I'm going to keep up a theme of stepping away from technical tax discussions and really just pose a simple question to you. What would you do for free? This is designed to be a guide for people in the area of law who are seeking a job, who are looking to build a practice, or even maybe seeking better employment opportunities. Now, as always, this presentation is not intended to substitute for legal or tax advice. It is provided for educational purposes only. And I have no profit-seeking motive in this. This is just something I like to share that I've used in my own practice. So, if you'd like a copy of these slides as well, please email me at griffin.bridgers@gmail.com. Now, in this increasing digital world, a lot of people have moved into more of a freemium model to build a customer base or an audience or even a following. It's not unheard of. It's exactly what I'm doing with this channel. But this is something that hasn't really been introduced or explored in the legal world. It's something that a lot of people feel threatened by for a variety of reasons we're going to look at the bottom. Now, a great article on this goes back to 2014, is the article by Mark Herman in Above the Law called Giving It Away. So if you want to Google that, that was a great article laying out how that could be used to, say, build a following amongst corporate counsel. Now, I understand that you probably have some pushback, and that's natural. There's a lot of attorneys who are reluctant to do this, and there's a reason that this hasn't gained traction. There's a lot of elements that are unique to the legal world that really kind of hold people back. For one, reputation and prestige really tends to be a driving force. We're always thinking of a hypothetical they out there who might judge us or judge our practice, or even deem this to be an underhanded method of getting clients or building a business. So that's a big element you're going to have to shed to be able to do this, and there's really no workaround for that. And we'll talk about reputation as it relates to sales and promotion in a minute as well. Productivity is another thing. Attorneys and even law students to a certain extent have been programmed where you feel the need to keep every minute of your day productive, and you feel intense anxiety if you do something for free. And worse, it makes you push that down and prioritize the billable work over what you commit to doing for free. But as we're going to see, the free part is something that you have to be able to iterate day after day after day because you're building it incrementally over time. Another issue is the shiny thing syndrome, where it's easy where you're sitting, especially if you're an employee, to see different areas of law or different practices or different firms and think that, yeah, if I do something for free, I can get to those opportunities, but you might not actually like doing that new opportunity. It's just that more where you're sitting, your anxiety is so high that anything else in the world seems attractive. So you might not stay the course once you actually dive into pursuing those opportunities or even get them. And if you use free things as a way to get those opportunities, you're going to lose steam. And then finally, strings attached. A lot of people, especially the less mature they are, the more they think of a profit-seeking motive. And this is a big killer here. If you go into this thinking, I want to turn these free things profitable at some point, then ironically, it's going to become more and more difficult to do so. You're going to rush it. You're going to feel like you have to get productive. You're going to have to get this generating money for you. And it's going to come across to as being slimy in your own promotion of this idea. Now, this is where entrepreneurship and promotion comes in, because, like it or not, success in the legal field, even as an employee, is all about entrepreneurship and sales, marketing, and promotion. And a lot of people go into law school to avoid sales and marketing. At least I did, and you may be in the same boat. But even if you want to remain an employee, you must sell yourself. That's even true in what's often been held as the gold standard at the end of law school in big law. A lot of people assume, yeah, they can just plug into big law by following the rules and get plenty of work, get plenty of money, and yeah, you get the stress that goes along with that, but in exchange for a lot of money and a lot of prestige. But increasingly within big law firms, what a lot of law students and associates don't recognize is that you're thrown to the wolves. You're not going to have work from day one, and increasingly it's being left on you to generate your own opportunities within the firm, to go meet firm partners, sell yourself as a valuable resource, and get work for yourself to fill your slate of required hours. And I like to close out kind of this concept. I can't find the quote or original source, but I remember once reading this piece that said that the hallmark of entrepreneurship is gaining comfort with working for free. So, in terms of how we deploy this in different areas, first I want to focus on law students. Now, some of what I'm talking about here might work in the OCI or big law pursuit with some tweaks, but it's important to note too that a lot of that is still going to be grade driven and is still going to be prestige driven. So you might be able to get yourself in front of firms that you might not have otherwise had opportunities at, but this really helps if you're outside of that traditional method of getting legal jobs and you're kind of having to do your own organic job search on your own. Now, whether or not you're looking at OCI or your own organic job search, it helps to identify opportunities not by firm or by firm reputation, but more by practice area. And from there, I think you can break it down, not even if you know practice area, but really just looking at, do you want to be in transactional law or do you want to be in litigation? Those are really the two paths you have out of law school. So in either one, you need to have demonstrated experience of your skills here and how you've grown those skills as well, because ultimately that's going to be the value proposition for any employer. So for example, if you're interested in transactional law, you can go to the site sec.gov and you can really Google any document that you want out there, say an LLC operating agreement, an asset purchase agreement, anything like that. Really just type into Google the name of the document and then site:/sec.gov, and you're going to get plenty of templates of those types of things. What I'd suggest doing is setting up maybe a private blog or something like that where you can go through those types of documents, and even if they're already edited, maybe practice cutting, pasting, redacting client information and names, and then further editing it, because that's proof of your acumen. A lot of times that's what you're going to be doing in a firm, is taking prior documents and removing names and replacing them and making further edits. If you can show that you're competent at doing that and show a comparison to where you got it, hey, guess what? You have a great example of your skill above and beyond your peers that doesn't relate to prior opportunities that you've had or a lack thereof. Same thing can be done in litigation as well, with case filings and motions. If you have access through your law school or otherwise, you can look at websites like PACER, which is the federal court filings, and look to pull like motions and other things like that, or briefs, and edit those further, tweak them, research them, show your skills. And when you get good enough at this, you can also maybe use these to identify opportunities to help thought leaders for free. Because one thing is getting this out there, but another thing is promotion and promoting by scale, because you lack the time really to put this in front of a lot of law firms, and it's even though this gives you a leg up, it's still difficult. So one thing you could do is really find thought leaders in the area and maybe try to help them for free. Now, the key is making sure you don't put any work on their plate. You're trying to make it easier for them. So maybe you can do something like find a blog that they've posted and don't even ask them, just turn it into an article and provide it to them and say, hey, I wrote this. If you want to use it, great. If not, no sweat too. But I'm just providing this just because I'm a law student and looking at better ways to work with people. And I thought I'd give this a shot. And maybe we can collaborate on other things. And it helps to be clear that what you're looking for is, yeah, you'd like a job, but you're also, big into kind of fitting into this area and networking or having mentors and maybe helping to identify opportunities. Because if you that can really help you in building a reputation and getting your name out there into a community. Now, if you're a practice builder, this can be helpful as well, but time budgeting becomes a huge concern. Another issue is that you tend to be driven more by that profit motive of the desire to quickly turn a free idea profitable. So you've got to reach a level of comfort before you do this with finding something that you're willing to do for free perpetually, regardless of whether or not it turns profitable. And with that, you must also consider that promotion becomes a big element of this. There's nothing so awesome out there that it can go viral and save you the sales and marketing efforts. So you kind of have a reverse Pareto type of thing where 20% of your time will go into creating the free thing, but 80% of your time is going to go into actually promoting it. Then you have to overcome the natural skepticism people have when you promote something free, because it's hard for them to think that there's not a string attached. So you've got to do it in a way, like I said with the law student, where instead of putting homework onto them, you're really just putting it out there saying, hey, take it or leave it. If you like it, I can provide more. And if not, no sweat. We go our separate ways. And the idea over time is that you build a following, build an audience, build a client base, and some of them might turn profitable in ways that you may or may not have anticipated, but some of them may not. But the hardest part in this is recognizing that promotion never goes away. When you commit to the freemium path, you're committing to a lifetime of promotion of that freemium path. So it helps to not promote something for the sake of profit, but out of the sake of passion, because that's going to help you promote every day. That takes the scumminess and the skepticism out of it. Now, if you're an employee, the strategies for law students can work well for you as well, but your time is also more at a premium, and it is more natural that you're attracted to shiny things, as I mentioned earlier, when you're stuck in the grind of your job. It makes anything else seem attractive, but it rarely is, as long as you're colored by the anxiety of where you're at and the system of the firm that you're currently in. And that anxiety is often going to follow you to a new job or a new practice area. So you've got to deal with that first, and I'll talk about some resources for that in a minute, understanding that I'm not a psychologist. But with that being said as well, you've got to be able to account for your time. So if you're looking to make a move outside of your firm, you're going to have to find a way to do a lot of this on your own time, over lunch, outside of work hours, and not using your employer's resources as well. And it's easier to do that if you're looking to stay at your current firm and maybe identify additional opportunities and find a way to co-create or collaborate with them. Now, another anxious thing tends to be that you might want to own your own IP, and if you are building this, you might want to do it in a way where you're independent of your employer, where your employer is not going to try to claim credit for it or hold you back if you try to move. But I think you've got to realize, that's a natural risk, and if you're building your own IP and your own brand, that they can't take away your individual name. Now, after COVID, we're going to have a higher acceptance of remote work, and it's going to really kind of aid your ability to do this and identify opportunities. I always get the question, what about bar associations? Yeah, they're great as well. I don't know about where you're at. Some are more accepting than others. My experience is that if you're trying to do this through a bar association, there tend to be a lot of gatekeepers, and it tends to be a very insular, reputation-based, chatty, gossipy type of area. And you may not want to be involved in that because that comes with its own anxiety. And then finally, with all these, I understand there's going to be hesitancy. Here's just some frequently asked questions I came up with, and then I'll close with some resources in a second. One, most obvious, is how do I avoid somebody taking advantage of me? Well, the unhelpful answer is you've got to grow a backbone, but the helpful answer is that you've got to be clear in writing how long the freemium model lasts and what its constraints are. So if you're doing something for free for somebody else, you got to limit it to a specific time or to a specific project. But if you're just doing it for yourself to build your brand, you're taking advantage of yourself in a certain sense there. But that really only becomes a concern when you're doing something free for somebody else, and that's why I usually say, don't ask them, just do it and then offer it. That's how you avoid being taken advantage of. Now, another common question is, what if I choose the wrong thing? A lot of people are scared of wasting time and of wasted effort and of unnecessary anxiety. But you've got to do some parallel thinking here, and you've got to recognize that beyond the legal skills, you're building skills in developing anything for free. In how do you develop that IP? How do you pitch it? What are the processes? And those organizational skills are ones you can quickly deploy on new ideas. So all you're doing is shifting ideas to a new area of law or new sub-practice or new business idea. You can use that same skill set, and there's nothing wrong with developing that skill set. And then finally, what if my parents, peers, or friends mock me? Well, first off, you don't have to tell them what you're doing. But second off, you've got to realize that often that's a prestige-driven mocking or inquiry. And that's what often holds us back, especially in the field of law, because the practice of law is so prestige driven. And if you're driven by prestige, and if your parents, peers, or friends are borrowing prestige from you, or are basing their own prestige off your position, then it's natural that that's going to happen. So for this to work, you've got to be comfortable giving up some level of prestige, which can cause anxiety and conflict. So that's part of getting ready to do this, is being in the right mindset. So to put you in that right mindset, I've provided some additional resources here that have helped me, and they may help you. There's an author out there named Charlie Hone. He's put out a couple great books. One deals with the methodology. It's called The Recession-Proof Graduate. That shows how, as a college grad with little experience beyond a marketing internship, he was able to use her certain passions like video editing and the offer to do something for free to get in front of very famous authors and create opportunities with them, which turned paid and which turned into networking within a larger, more influential sphere, and that led to him working with Tim Ferriss for a number of years. And out of that was anxiety that followed him that he hadn't dealt with previously. So the book Play It Away shows how he was able to tamp that down and finally find a way to deal with some of that by recapturing the spirit of play in his life and work and in his relationships. Now, if you're more of a logical person and need to see how this fits together, systems anxiety is something to research as well. So Murray Bowen is kind of the pioneer in this area on family systems, but those are important that they have parallels to the legal world, and you tend to see the same systems anxiety within the legal marketplace, whether it's the actual field itself or firms. One thing I've listened to is Jerry Wise of Jerry Wise Relationship Systems on YouTube. Has a great YouTube series which shows practical application of some of Murray Bowen's theories as well. So hopefully this helped you. I know it's a little lengthy, but I think it's a great resource for anybody in the legal marketplace. And by no means have I mastered any of these. It's an area I'm still working at as well, especially on the promotion piece. But either way, if you have questions or topic suggestions, you can email those to me at griffin.bridgers@gmail.com. But thank you for listening to this episode of 10 Minutes with Griffin. Actually, way more than 10 minutes with Griffin. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.